Okay, for the day's video, we're going to end up having to replace a garage door opener. The gears got stripped, but I can't complain. This garage door opener has been in place 20 plus years, so I really can't complain on it not working now. Failed. I think at the time I bought it, it may have been $120, $140 garage door opener from Sears. It's a Craftsman. As you can see, I hit the button and the chain's not moving at all. Look here, no plastic gears inside, just turned into white powder. So that's the reason the opener stopped working. You can see the gears back there. They're just shredded off of there. No more gears left. So the new garage door opener is a Chamberlain C870. Since I have to replace it, I kind of stepped up the type of garage door opener I'm using. I have just two remotes on the old one, and I have an outdoor keypad. But this one allows you to have two keypads, outdoor opener, and it also has an app for you to be able to open and close your garage door no matter where you are. So I'm going to do a little bit of an upgrade on this, and it's going to be a big improvement. So in the box we have the main unit. We've got mounting hardware and brackets over here, and we have a backup battery on this one, and then we also have some more hardware and things in here, cables and all of that kind of stuff. Down in the bottom we got the installation manual, and I'm sure this is something for warranty and safety in the bottom. Inside the sides of the light compartments we have cables, remotes, and other things for the installation. Here's some of the mounting pieces and hardware that we got on here. There's the backup battery. Things down in here. That's the little cover for the top of the gears. Cable and chain for the chain drive. Wall mount for outside. And some mounts for the safety safety sensors that go on the side of the door in case somebody walks in, so that the door won't close down on. Here's the connector bracket that connects to the garage door. Down in the bottom of the box we have the railing. I do have an existing garage door opener, so I'm not sure whether I'm going to use the existing or if I need to use the new rails, but we'll determine that once we get everything checked out. Well, looks like the new railing looks tubular, which will probably make it a little stronger compared to the old railing, which is like a thin T-shaped track. So it looks like we'll be using the new railing. I'll give you a shot of that in a moment. So here's a shot of the old railing. It's, like I said, it's a T-shaped track. You can see it. Completely different from what we have now. So it's always good to have your garage door level, and looks like this is quite a bit out of level at this time. So that will be something that we focus on. Maybe about an inch out of level now. So could have caused over time the destruction of the gears inside, but with the new installation we'll take care of that. If you're not a garage door installer, it's probably best to read the owner's manual. Plus they have some how-to videos at this tiny URL listed here in the on the front of the instruction manual. So if you're not used to doing this, read the manuals, watch the videos. makes everything a lot easier. Here on the box, these are tools you may need. Got screwdrivers, wrenches, pliers, crescent wrench, hammers, wire cutters and clippers, definitely a ladder and a drill, tape measure, all that good stuff to make your job easier. Gather these things up beforehand, and it'll help you out a lot. So in the other compartment, there's the cables for the sensors. As you see, the two sensors go there. You got remote controls. Well, I thought I had two, but looks like it may only have one in here. Then you got the light socket inside of here for the light bulb. Maybe there's yeah. Here's the wall mount for opening and closing the garage door opener. Here's the cable for the controller. Here is the second opener. So we did get two like I suspected, so that's good. Plus, as I said, we also have the app for this one for Wi-Fi control, which is kind of nice. Everybody has a smartphone these days. So instead of needing the remote with batteries, you can use your phone to open and close the garage door. So here we go. As I said, most of the tools you need. I got a corded drill, got hammer, crimpers, strippers, wire cutters, crescent wrench, screwdrivers, wrenches. I'm gonna take loose the existing one. I'm really not going to show you that because it'll be just the reverse of putting this one in. So I'm going to take all that loose and take it down. As always, when you're doing some work with electricity, you unplug everything so you're safe, or you either turn off the breakers. But unplugging and just disassembling everything. Okay, so we got the bars here, and as you can see, there's some other pieces in here that we'll need for later. There's a nut and bolt in there, and there's some pieces for assembly in there. So I'm gonna use these and put these aside for later. Pull these out, put them aside for later. But there's two of the brackets for mounting. This looks like the bracket that goes down to the piece that hooks to the garage door opener itself, and then the bolt that connects it to the assembly. Okay, these connect end to end like this. The piece where the other parts were stored, that piece is the one that goes towards the garage door. It's for the pulley assembly, so you want that piece down here on the end, and you want the yellow sticker on top. Well, put these together and secure them, and then we'll start attaching things. Okay, I don't recommend sliding them all the way in until you have the exact distance that you want. So, got 3 notches on each location, so I would just lock it into the first notch, and then once we get a good measurement on it, then you can adjust as needed, because that's going to be the way you adjust it to the length that you need. We want to attach the bracket here. You can see the 2 offset bolt holes, and the bolts are screwed into the system. I've already loosened them, so you just want to tighten these. You don't want to use any power tools because this is a little sheet metal frame here, so you don't want to do any damage to it. So you line up the holes and thread the screws in. Make sure they're tight. You don't want to over tighten them, but you also don't want any vibration or anything like that to work the screws out. I mean the bolts out. You also need to install the 1 3/4 bolt and the lock nut that's found in the bag with the nuts and bolts in it, and that's supposed to be inserted into the hole right here. So I'm going to go ahead and install that, put that in. It's called the cover protection bolt, and I think it's made to stop the slider from going up there when it's pulling the door up. It's supposed to stop it right here. So with this being a lock nut, you don't really need to tighten it down really tight. You only want to tighten it until the lock nut sets in place and catches a grip. So that was a little hard to do, so I had to set the camera down, but as you see, I slid it all the way into the little notch that stops it there. Then you have the guard bolt there that we put in a second ago. And now we're getting ready to lift it up, see how much length we need, and adjust the rails. Remember I said I was going to wait to adjust the rails until I could get things set in place. So hopefully that'll be a little helpful to you instead of sliding them all the way in and getting them locked in place before you actually have the right adjustments. Next we're going to install the idler pulley. As you can see, I've taken the tape off of it, and inside there's a little bit of grease. That's to grease the pulley so it can rotate easily around the idler bolt. The idler bolt is this big black bolt here, and it's got a 3/8 nut and a 3/8 lock washer. Idler pulley, you set that in there, and as you can see through there. The bolt we're talking about goes in there. Drop it through, and I'm gonna put the lock nut and the nut on the other side and just tighten it down till the lock nut is flat. As I said before, you only have to flatten out the lock washer and or the lock nuts once they're flattened or gripped to the metal. You don't have to tighten the rail tab here, and they want you to raise this until it's like 90 degrees. So if you look at the little label next to it, you'll see that it shows you not partial way, but all the way, full 90 degrees. See if we can get this to pop up to 90 degrees. Give me some leverage on the side here, and I'll be able to do it. But I'm going to go get some pliers and pull this up. I'll show you that part when it's done. Gripping this rail tab, getting it at 90 degrees. That's how they want it on there. So we're good there. Feed the cable and the chain through the pulley. And to secure those, we're going to need this little packet here. It's the little chain links to connect the cable and the chain portion to the frame, the slider here. So we're going to put those in here, and we're going to get the bolt that goes through there to lock it down. But the way that I'm doing this, we're not going to tighten it up right away, because we're going to wait till we get it in the air and get it at the right length and secured, and then we're going to lock everything down and get everything tight. So I'm just going to feed the cable through this way, get it worked through, and that way we'll get everything pushed around. So I'm just going to feed the cable through, and then we're going to just roll it on down this way, and we're going to end up connecting it right here with the links that we're given. So, and then we're going to feed the chain around the other way, and then we'll wrap that chain around the sprocket here and over to here, this connector right here with the bolt, and that way we'll have everything connected up, and then we'll tighten it up at the end. Here's the little chain link, and as you can see, the little piece like this is on there, and what you do is you set it in the middle, and it's big enough to go over it. Then you slide it up, and I use these little needle nose to push against the back because it's kind of a tight fit, and then it'll it'll snap in place. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to pull the chain around the other way, and then we're going to put this little chain link on that with the screw, and I'll show you that in a minute. Well, my thought about adjusting these when I was done, that's not going to work because the chain doesn't go far enough. I can't tighten it on there, so I'm going to slide these in, and what I'll have to do is adjust the mounts as needed. So I'm going to make these connect all the way in, and then once I get the mounts up there, I'll adjust the mounts as needed. Okay, so this is how you get this connected. Same thing with the little link that you put in there. It just snaps in like that. Remember I said you could fit it over the top first and then push it with the needle nose. But that link's connected. And here's where you're going to adjust the chain. Right now I still got a lot of slack in the chain, but the chain should be about midway up here, and everything, once we're tight, we'll get that taken care of. So basically got the chain pretty tight and adjusted. What I'm going to do is take my pliers and hold the end right here so the chain doesn't twist as I tighten down on this nut. Get it up until that lock washer flattens out. Once the lock washer flattens out, you don't have to turn it anymore. But I don't want the chain twisting because of me wrenching on that little nut right there. And as you see on the other side, it's not sagging anymore. It's approximately halfway up the side of the railing here, so we're doing good right there. As you see, I've gotten the chain tightened for a good bit. It's got a good 1/4 inch, pretty much to the mid of the rail there. So got that all through, and I'm going to show you what I did on the other side as far as adjusting the nuts. As far as adjusting this, what you really do is you back this nut all the way back here, then you put this nut on the left side here on, and you tighten down on this, and this will pull the chain tight like you saw on the other side. And once you get this to where the chain is midway like we had it, like it is right here, then you stop adjusting this nut. And then what I did is I took some pliers and held right here so this wouldn't be spinning, and I tightened this nut down until the lock washer was compressed. Once that lock washer is compressed, you're good. It's not going to back off anymore. And at this point, we're ready to move on to the next step. The thing is to cover the sprocket here, and the cover and the screws come in here. I was looking for the screws in the other part, but this little corner of this here is sealed off with the 3 screws that are needed. So I'm going to break this open, put the screws in, and I'll show you. Okay, these are either Phillips head or hex head. And what I prefer on these is to use a nut driver. Nut driver tends to grip a little bit better. But when you put this on, make sure it's down tight. You don't have to muscle tighten them, but if you do tighten them down, make them flat so it won't rattle when the chain's moving. Because anything that's going to move will make some noise. The next thing to do was to position the header bracket. I already had a garage door opener here. I thought I might be able to use the existing header bracket, but I wasn't able to. This rail is different, so it connects differently. So I used the top hole for the header bracket, and then I had to drill another hole because the positions were different for the holes. So now it's time to start mounting up the rails and the garage door opener into the brackets that hold it in the ceiling. Okay, to attach the rail to the header bracket over the garage door, you need this 1.5 pin and one of these little loops to lock it in place. We'll lift the garage door opener up in the air a little bit, set it on top of either the ladder or some boxes to hold it up higher, and then we'll tilt the rail up there and insert this pin through. Basically, I just set the garage door opener on those boxes right there. Then I lifted the rail up and put the pin in and put the little loop that locks it in place. Put that right up there. And then now I'm going to go to the other end and get up on the ladder, lift the garage door opener up. Going to get out my level and then make sure it's level. Okay, we want to try to get this level. I think I've probably gotten it as level as I can get it without having to move everything greatly. So it's within the line, so I'm gonna go ahead and go with that. I'll try to make a little adjustments and I'll check back with it later. Take the clevis pins here to attach the bracket to the door, the little elbow bracket. And then you also use this clevis pin to connect the long arm from the rail mechanism down to the elbow bracket. So as you can see, I've already used a clevis pin and connected the bracket here. I actually used the existing bracket there to connect this, as it'll work just fine. And then we'll connect the other bracket up here on the arm, kind of right there in the center. So to connect the two brackets, you're going to use two of these 3/8 by 7/8 inch bolts with a nut and lock washer. And for the sectional garage doors, you're going to close the door and you're going to bring the rail arm close down here and you're going to align them, and you're going to connect the two outer bolt holes to each other and tighten it down. Here we go with the arm connected. As I stated, you select the two outer holes, makes it a little more rigid, and always, since you're using a lock washer, all you have to do is tighten it down to that lock washer flattens. You don't need to over tighten it or put any undue stress on it. Lock washer will hold it. And this part is, as you see, I've got existing wiring here, so all I'm going to do is take this old little pad off and put the new pad in its place and connect the wiring to it, which makes this a little bit easier. But for the safety sensors that go along the garage door at about 4 to 6 inches, I'll have to run those completely over again. But here, this part is taken care of. I'm just going to take this off and do whatever I need to mount the new controller, because it's a different design. As you see, we have a connection on the new unit for a white and a red wire. The existing wires that I use are marked white and red, and that's pretty common. So just make sure you put them on there on the right order, because you're going to connect a white and a red connector at the garage door opener itself, so you want to make sure you get those right. And when hooking the wires on there, you just strip a little bit of insulation off, and when you hook them in the clockwise direction, so when you tighten the screw, they won't try to slip off the screw head as you're tightening down, because you're going in the opposite direction of the wire. That'll make it easier for you to connect it on. See, I've got the red connected to the red terminal, and I've got the white connected to the white terminal. Then you're going to leave the screw for the bottom sticking out a little bit. You're going to take that notch right there and slide it down over that, and then you'll open the little top flap and mark the top hole when you get the wall mount level. As you see, mine actually slides down, and it pretty much sits right on top of the light switch, so it's already in a pretty level state. So what I'll do is I'll take the other screw and I'll poke a hole in the wall there and drill my starter hole and insert my little wall insert in there for mounting into sheetrock, so it'll have a good secure connection. Okay, as you see, my new hole is just a little bit above what I already have there. So we're going to take a 5/32 inch bit, and then we're going to drill that hole, and we're going to put the new anchor in there. Okay, we're going to take the new wall anchor, slide it in there, push it in there good, and we're going to use the existing screw that we had to put mount the new controller. We'll use the existing mounting hardware to mount the controller. So I screwed that screw there in the bottom end so that it would be a tight fit, that you'll just be able to slide the bottom hole of the bracket over it, and then once you tighten the top screw in, it'll be a good solid mount where there won't be any movement in the controller. Now we got that nice and snug to the wall, and as you noticed, I made sure the wires could fit through that little notch right there, so there's no pinching on those wires, because you don't want to get a little short in the circuit board or anything like that. So make sure when you're screwing it down that you don't pinch the wires behind the plastic. It could cut the insulation on them and then they could short out. Connected the red and white wires in there. All you do is strip back a little bit of insulation, and then you take your wire and you stick it in there. Coordinate the colors, red to red, white to white, and you take your screwdriver, that little orange tab, you push it in, and as you can see, it's a little indented compared to the two that are next to it. Let me get the focus. You can see the little indentation there, and then you can pull on them to make sure they're good and tight in there. Make sure you got a good connection. Those are good. Got pre-existing sensors. I'm going to remove these sensors, and since I've got pre-existing wiring, I'm going to cut this wiring and splice it to the new sensors. That way I won't have to rerun the wiring, and it'll be an easy mount, just a splice and connector. I'll use some terminals to do the splice, and it'll be a nice clean splice, and I won't have to rerun wiring for it. I've also verified that my new sensors can be mounted in the existing brackets, and I'm going to just go ahead and use those brackets, and that way I won't have to remount those. It'll just be cutting the wires and splicing them and then connecting them to the garage door opener. Be all done. I've cut the existing wires. I've put some connectors on here that can be clamped down and get a good solid connection. Prefer to use these as they work very well. Usually won't come loose, and just going to match the black wire to the black wire, the white wire to the white wire, and then mount the sensor. But this will make it a lot easier than rerouting the wire again and putting the new brackets on. I'm going to do this on both sides, show you the final product. Now I'm going to test the feature where there's an obstruction in front of the sensors. That Amazon box is blocking them. So when I hit the button, which I'm about to do now, you see it doesn't even move and the lights start flashing. That's when there's an obstruction in there. Next I will test the reversing feature. So now I'm going to test the reversing feature. Got that stick laying in the way. When it hits that stick, the door should stop and go back up. Working perfectly on both occasions, so we'll move on to the next step. As you may have heard earlier in the video, when I was testing the garage door opener, it was very noisy. I've got some lubricant from Home Depot, and as you can hear now, it's a lot quieter. Sometimes in the house you can barely hear the garage door come up. It doesn't do all the rattling and squeaking. And the lubricant that I got from Home Depot was this Clopay Pro Lube. Really helps with the noise on the hinges. You spray the rollers, you spray the rails, and it it definitely helps out on the noise that the garage door makes. One thing we want to do is don't forget to put in the backup battery, which is a pretty nice feature. So it's a little compartment right here. You unscrew with a Phillips head right there, and then we take the battery and mount it in there. I said it takes about, probably about 24 hours to charge. So the battery has two slide-on connectors. Put it in there, the compartment, and connect it and close it back up. So here's the battery. You just take these little protectors off the things and slide the clips onto there, onto the connectors. You got the positive in red, negative in black, and just slide it into the compartment. Looks like it goes in there this way as to the way it would fit. So connect it, close it back up. So as you can see, the battery lays down on its side. It goes in there a long ways up, and just put the cover plate back on. Leave it about 24 hours. We'll test it and add that to the video. We'll unplug the garage door opener and see if it still opens. But we'll give it a 24-hour time. As you can see, I've got the cable disconnected. Got my light on up there so you can see. I'm getting ready to check the backup power, the backup battery itself, to make sure it works during the power outages. So you hear the beeping, and you see the door coming up, and this is on backup battery only. Also, as you can hear, it's getting close to New Year's and the fireworks are popping. Okay, the door is fully open. Now to make sure it closes on backup battery. So the backup battery works really nicely. It's a good thing to have in a case of a power outage. You won't. Let me know what you think of the video by commenting below. And if my videos are helpful to you, please like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for watching.